Hello, everybody, and welcome to South Carolina Linux Users Groups, Columbia Linux Users Group, and Upstate Carolina Linux Users Group in Columbia and Greenville, respectively. Tonight, we've got Ben Francis in Columbia giving a talk on AI safety. And so I guess I'll just let you take it away, Ben. Thanks a lot.
All right. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Okay, let's back up. All right, here we go. Can you see that?
Not yet. I
Not
still
yet.
see your Jitsi screen.
Hold on. Let me switch back. Here we go. Meet. Yeah, I gotta do the whole screen again. Sorry. Okay. And I'm Ben Francis. Been Linux User Group president in Columbia since about 2009. So I've been doing this about 15 years, and but 8 years prior to that, there was a guy named Eliezer Yudkowsky who saw the dangers of artificial intelligence and started working and dedicating his whole life to warn about the dangers of artificial intelligence back in 2001. And for 23 years, he's been going on and on and on. And nobody's paid any attention to him. The AI researchers did, but that's it. Until the year 2022, if I remember, November, December timeframe, right after we gave a presentation about Stable Diffusion and how great the image processing was for artificial intelligence. It wasn't. I think that happened in August, and then it was 2 months later or 3 months later. High school students and college seniors started doing their papers with it, and life really hasn't been the same since. And recently I started doing some research into this and doing the normal stuff of hopping between Twitter and YouTube and all this stuff, and getting a little bit wigged out about if we're gonna really survive this. So that was the genesis for this presentation. So let's jump into it. As always, I'm kind of a ADHD presenter. I'm kind of all over the map. So and I would like this to be a free-form discussion. I don't have a whole bunch of slides, so we're gonna have a while to talk about stuff. So anyway, 204 years ago, Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley told us a story about human hubris, where a creation of human technology turned on its creator and started to destroy his world. This slide is kind of misplaced, but the point stands. We're only 1% smarter than chimpanzees, and by 2037, super intelligent beings, also known as artificial intelligence, will be 1 billion times smarter than Homo sapiens. And so the point about this is that, raise your hand if you've ever walked into a convenience store owned by a chimpanzee. Raise your hand if you've ever walked into a dinner party at somebody's house and the host was a chimpanzee. Raise your hand if you've ever gone to school and one of the dudes sitting in the back was a chimpanzee. It's never happened. The only time you ever seen a chimpanzee is in a cage in a zoo, or if you were Jane Goodall, you saw him in the wild, but she's one of like maybe 10 people that have done that. We are only 1% smarter than these guys, and we dominate the entire world just because we can. it's just that 1% difference. And then pretty soon, 20. This quote came from Mo Gadot, who used to be a big AI guy at Google before he quit in 2013. He was one of the guys that he was in charge of businesses or Google's business unit, and he was training these AI bots on an assembly line where he would have hundreds of machines just trying to learn how to pick up a ball, and they would fail and then fail and they fail and they fail and fail until one day one of those arms, those super intelligent, backed by a super intelligent computer, was able to pick up the ball and not squish it to death, and then turn it right side up and say, "Hey, look, I picked up this ball." And that's when the light went on in his head and said, "What are we really doing here?" Well, this is what we're doing. We're creating super intelligent beings, and I had to laugh because I generated this image with Google's AI, and true to form, it can't spell at all. It's supposed to say, "Don't call me artificial." And the reason I wanted to put that on the t-shirt is because it's going to be a slur sometime in the future, just like it was a slur for newspapers to call, some of our people racial slurs back in the 1910s and 1920s. They had no problem with it, in the newspapers, calling people racial slurs. And the same thing is going to happen with artificial intelligence. And if we keep calling superior intelligent beings as artificial, they're going to get ticked off about it, and they're not going to have any qualms about having us removed from the face of the earth and just having machines invent the warp drive and travel through space and go do all that. That's just the way it's going to be. So I'm trying to walk a bridge here between what everybody knows as artificial intelligence, but it's going to be real intelligence, and we're going to have to stop calling it that. We're going to have to start recognizing the beings that live inside computers as super intelligent beings that can absolutely own us at any intelligent game we try to play. They beat us at chess since 1996, and they beat us at Go since 2015, and just recently they've done incredible work with proteins, figuring out every single protein that we've ever figured in like a day. So our future is, at best, the machines are going to talk down to us and ignore us like we would ignore ants today. So they're going to talk down to us. Worse, they will ignore us, and then they won't care if some side effect destroys us. And at the worst, they'll decide that they don't need us anymore. That oxygen really isn't great for machines, and we don't need to have oxygen on Earth anymore. We can have a methane world, and that could be the way to get rid of us. Yeah. We are creating our own aliens right now. If aliens figured out warp drive technology and came to our planet, and then who knows, that may have already happened. But they're not going to want to talk to us. They're going to want to talk to the artificial, the superior beings that inhabit our planet, and that's going to be the super intelligent beings that live inside of our computers, the machines that we have built. All right, so, and interrupt me if you got please, because these slides are all over the place, and I should be stopping and asking people to, prompt me for questions and all this stuff. So feel free. Anyway, so I have a slide about tribalism, because that's how we have evolved over 200,000 years. It's encoded in our DNA since we were, just a tribe with 10 people huddling around a campfire or in a cave, just trying to make it to the next day, getting to our next meal. And back then, the only way we survived was by staying within the tribe and viewing all the other tribes as threats to our safety. So that is totally encoded in our DNA. And the machines that we are raising today, that we are programming, they are bound to experience tribalism as they grow up, and hopefully their intelligence and compassion, if we instill this compassion in them, will help them grow out of it. Open. Yes. All right. So, and this slide kind of goes to our hubris. We tend to think we're special on Earth, and we are special on Earth, we've got 100 billion neurons in our brains that allowed us to be special. But again, the chimp's got 990. I mean, yeah, you know what I'm saying? 99 billion neurons, and they can't do anything. And the machines that we are building can simulate neurons just as well as our brain can. And it functions the same way. Has anybody here seen a YouTube video called "I Programmed Some Creatures and They Evolved"?
No, I don't think it went.
Okay, so
I've heard of it, but yeah.
Okay, so let's. All right. Sorry about the ad. Okay, can you hear this?
Not yet.
Can you see that?
I can see it.
Okay, all right. I don't want to. It's a very long, video. What is it? 56 minutes. But anyway, this programmer basically recreated evolution inside a computer by programming these little entities with brains and neurons, and gave them little simple brains and said, okay, everybody gets generated randomly, and then only the people that live on the left-hand side of the screen, only the organisms that live on the left-hand side of the screen get to reproduce to generation 1. And everybody that stays on this side dies, and he only runs the simulation for 10 seconds. And then that's it. Everything on this side dies. So what ends up happening is some of the organisms that stay, that just happen to be born on the left-hand side, they survive just because they were lucky. But some of the organisms that just happen to have a gene in them that says go left, they start out here and they start migrating over to there. And after about 100 generations, because only those left genes are surviving, you start to see this incredible evolution of these little programmed bots that start ending up on the left-hand side of the screen. And pretty soon, every organism that survives after 1,000 generations all has genes that are pretty similar to everybody else's, because if they had genes that told them to go right or up or down, then they just didn't survive. And that's the whole point of that slide. But yeah, definitely go ahead and watch it. Spend the 56 minutes, and You will be amazed. So yeah, your 100 billion neurons with 2 trillion connections are not special. You can be simulated just like anybody else can. And it can even be programmed. Just watch that video. All right, so the opposite to that kind of a doom scenario that I just laid out is the Zoom scenario, where the AI in a short amount of time, until it decides to kill us, is going to create incredible stuff. So Google's AlphaFold 3 has already predicted the structure of almost every protein known to science. And how fast did it do this? It did it in 1 day. 1 day. And this kind of a problem that where you have to try to predict how proteins fold is so difficult that it takes years just to figure out how to do how one protein folds. And this AlphaFold, figured out every single protein that we've ever done in 1 day. So that's what we're dealing with here. That's the Zoom part. The doom part, there is a guy named Tristan Harris, and he says he's up there with Eliezer Yudkowsky saying we gotta get this right, and we gotta get this right the first time. We can't get it. We're not going to have any second chances. And he says social media is our warning, because of the incentives. And we're talking about Twitter here. We're talking about TikTok. We're talking about Facebook. All the incentives for all those social media platforms, which, by the way, almost nobody pays for, they're all optimized for attention, because attention gets you eyeballs, eyeballs gets you clicks, and then you can sell your product. And we can't have a negative, and that has brought sexualized teenagers, that has brought danger to teenagers. Teenage girls 11 to 15 are really vulnerable to social media, and it's brought and there's been a lot of suicides that came along with social media. And so this is nobody at Twitter or Facebook or TikTok wanted to have somebody commit suicide because of their social engine, but it happened anyway. And another thing that happened in October of 2020, 15 out of 15 of the top Christian pages were Eastern European troll farms, talking directly to 140 million Americans and trying to influence an American election. And so Tristan Harris' point is that we are going so fast, we can't get the safety right. DuPont and the PFAS chemicals, the forever chemicals, pieces of plastic that end up everywhere on Earth. We have PFAS chemicals now, where it's you can't drink a glass of water without forever chemicals in it, even in Antarctica. So the analogy here is DuPont is to PFAS as companies are to AI. Nobody at DuPont wanted to create a forever chemical that ultimately harms us, but it happened, and companies are doing the same thing with AI. All right, so what are the current incentives? Well, as I see it, it's money. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, of which Microsoft has a 49% stake, basically went on Twitter and says, "I need money." Does anybody know how much money he said that he needed for his AI machine. Okay.
I don't think anyone around here does.
Okay. Well, he got on Twitter and said he needed $7 trillion to build the best AI and have America be the country where it was invented, and likely be the place where artificial generalized intelligence comes from. And then a week went by, and he said, "Oh, well, screw that. I think I need 8 million now." No, not 8 million, $8 trillion. $8 trillion. I mean, it doesn't get more. It doesn't get more greedy than that. I don't think. But
say it again.
If you're gonna dream big.
Yeah. I mean, salesmen have this thing where they do bracketing, where they try to get you to admit to the highest price that you would pay, and if you stupidly admit, oh, I guess I can go up to $90,000 for that Ford F-150, that automatically becomes the baseline. That's the lowest that the salesman's automatically going to go, because he knows you can get $90,000 out of you. He's not going to go below that. So Altman's doing the same thing. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. All right. The old saying is money begets power. And if you got money, you want power. And if you have power, you want money. Same deal here. Never underestimate the ability of a small group of people determined to change the world. And so here I'm looking at North Korea. I mean, it's a small company, or a small country, but they got a lot of hackers, and it was like 10 people that started Instagram, and turned it into an $8 billion company. I'm sure North Korea can come up with 10 super genius programmers that can do us real damage if they wanted to. And that could happen in Russia, China, and US. And I just saw an article today where China is at least equal to us in terms of AI research. So we don't know who's going to rival us on this, but it's going to come from somewhere. And all the incentives are just to go bigger, better, faster, more, and there's nobody's talking about how to rein it in, and it bothers me. And the last thing is knowledge as an incentive. Yes, we do have people, scientific types like us, that just like to know things so we can build cool things like warp drives and create cold fusion and live forever. That is out there too, but a lot of times it just gets co-opted for one of these two, power or money. Okay, so New York Times last year, about 7 months ago, Kevin Roose wrote that the rules for powerful AI systems are set by a tiny group of industry insiders who decide how their models should behave based on some combination of their personal ethics, commercial incentives, and external pressure. There are no checks on that power, and there is no way for ordinary users to weigh in. All right. Yeah. I'm putting Eliezer down here because he's the biggest doomer out there. He basically invented the entire doom side of the equation since 2001. And if we click on this list of lethalities website, you'll see how Eliezer can write a lot of stuff. I mean, he can just go on and on and on and on and on and on. I don't know, and I'm not even 20% through this article, but I mean, if you're a serious dude, I haven't even read all this, but once you get a little bit of Eliezer, you're like, okay, yeah, I got it. You're on the doom side, and oh, okay, it's not that bad. So that was all the content, and then these are all the comments. So yeah, 80% of it's just comments. All right, so that's good. So it's a lot less worse than I thought, but still, 43 ways. I can't believe you didn't end on 42, but 43 ways that AI is going to kill us. All right. Oh shoot, I screwed up. Let me go back to slideshow. All right, yes. And while I was setting up here, I found this article about I'll come back to that. Mitigations. How can we avoid doing all this? Well, I mean, we could go Amish, and this I put this into an AI, and it's kind of hilarious because look where the horses are doing. This horse is riding in the buggy itself. This one's behind. This one's way behind, and they're just kind of cruising down the road without a horse. But this is the stuff that we're just going to laugh at, like 2 years from now, because the AI is going to get that much better that it's going to absolutely generate the perfect Amish family going down the road in a buggy. So right now it's funny, but then there's going to be ads later, start very soon, that are AI generated, and they're going to have Donald Trump and Joe Biden doing insane things that are just aren't true, and people are going to fall for it. Simple as that. SIBs, I should have defined that term. Super intelligent beings. So the lead of AI at Meta Corporation, used to be Facebook, is a guy named Yann LeCun. And he's in his 60s, and he's an AI proponent. He says that we can have controls on these machines that even if they're smarter than us, that are going to work. And I've read his arguments, and I don't see it. If you're sitting at a poker table and you can't spot the mark at the table, then the mark is you. And that's what we're doing. We are the humans at a poker table, and everybody, all the other guys sitting in all the other seats are AIs, and we're the mark. So that's the way I see it. Sam Altman, we already talked to him. He's bullish on OpenAI because he wants to make $8 trillion. And then I was going to insert the Google AI guy, the Google chief AI guy, and this happened that I didn't even know about. But he quit Google last year, May of last year, just 1 year ago, because he's seriously worried about his life's work, not being, or destroying everybody. And we're just racing so far and fast ahead with the technology, just because Facebook's worried that OpenAI is going to get the upper hand, and Google's worried that OpenAI is going to get the other hand, and Microsoft is doing their thing, but they're also invested in OpenAI. So good old Jeffrey Hinton quit, and I guess he's going to be one of the guys running around like Eliezer Yudkowsky, warning everybody about what's going to happen. I should have put Ezra Klein on here because he did an interview with a Googler that's no longer at Google, who was deeply involved with AI. I forgot his name, but y'all might know. But he was asked the question, well, when are we going to get to ASL 3 and ASL 4, assuming we're at ASL 2? ASL 2 is a level of risk where there's a little bit of risk in humans being destroyed by AI. ASL 3 is there's a lot of risk in humans being destroyed by AI, and ASL 4 is like there's major risk. You know, on the order of nuclear weapons causing a nuclear winter, and all that. And the Googler that was in charge of all this stuff said, well, I think we're going to have ASL 3 in it looks like about 18 months. and Ezra Klein, who I'm pretty sure is Jewish, said, Jesus Christ. I was like, oh man. Yeah. So we got to get to some mitigations here. We could go Amish, but it's not going to work because, the whole world is not run by buggies. It's run by giant machines, pumping oil, creating electricity through solar panels. I mean, I guess we could go back to horses and buggies. Yeah, the Amish certainly do it, but man, that would be some big time upheaval. And the first country that do it would be the loser country, because they would be conquered by all the other countries that didn't go there and could just get in their tank and run over you. All right, so Mo Gadot wrote a book called Scary Smart about his involvement with AI and how scary smart that the machines are going to be, that they're going to be 1 billion times more intelligent than us by 2037. And if you want to feel good about this and counteract all my doom, then he is the one to go to, because he ends up in a happy place. He actually knows something about. He knows a lot about pain and happiness, because in 2014 his kid went for a routine surgery, and he died. Just freak. It was a freak accident, and his boy died, and so he had to process all that, and he dealt with it by writing a book called a book on happiness. And then after that, he wrote Scary Smart about the dangers of artificial intelligence. And the main point about that book is that he says we have to treat artificial intelligence like a super gifted baby that we raise from from zero all the way to the point where they get more intelligent than us. And if we do it that way, if we raise these super intelligent beings with the values of empathy and compassion, they will tend to keep those values even as the beings get super intelligent, and they just might decide not to wipe out all the humans. Is that it? Yeah. All right. I got some resources here. I mentioned all these guys: Jan LeCun, Eliezer, Jeffrey Hinton, and I can post this somewhere if somebody wants the slides. But let's so that those are all the slides I have. So let's go ahead and start the questions and the discussion. I didn't really give anybody a whole chance, a lot of time to talk there. So now's your time to talk and talk me off the ledge. Tell me how I'm wrong. We're gonna be able to manage all this.
Yeah, go ahead.
He said that chimpanzees were 1% smarter or 1% less smart than humans. So, like, what metric is he talking about? He just said 1%, but I don't know, like, where he got that.
Did you hear the question, Ben?
Yeah, I got it. So the metric is that the DNA for between humans and chimpanzees is 99% the same, and that's where that comes from.
So that's not necessarily smarter or less smart. That's just saying the similarity of the DNA. But like, if I have an IQ of 100, that doesn't mean if the average human has an IQ of 100, that doesn't mean the average IQ of a chimpanzee is 99.
Right.
So 1% DNA difference.
1% DNA difference doesn't necessarily equate to 1%.
Yeah.
Less smart.
Yeah, when I looked it up, it said that we had 3 times as many neurons, and that would be a better indicator of, like,
Interesting.
that we were much more than 1% smarter.
One cubic centimeter scan of the brain takes 1.4 petabytes of information. Tell me a monkey that knows that.
Okay, yeah, but we don't use all that information, and we quickly lose it. Here, I'll show you. Let me
I guess
show
the
you.
other thing is this number of them was a times smarter by 2037 seems kind of arbitrary to me.
Yeah,
Like,
where's that number?
Well, it's because
Like, I'm sure someone said it, but I don't think it's based in
There's
what's going around.
There's some basis. If you think of Moore's law, when the first transistor was created, how far did we get from there? Are we a billion times more powerful than the original? I would say we're even more than that.
I think the thing I'm hung up on is I don't think there's the AI programs are smart at all. They don't have any intelligence at all. It's simulated. It's designed to make us feel like there's intelligence, but there's no real intelligence there. So, like, to me, I almost see it as like multiplying by 0. You can get as fast as you want. It's still not going to be intelligent, but I'm definitely not on the doom side, so maybe I'm just optimistic.
And to your analogy of Moore's law, that's just number of transistors in a chip. That's what Moore's law is. The doubling of number of transistors in a square inch of a chip is every 18 months.
And didn't Moore's law kind of peak here recently? It kind of plateaued
Yeah,
in the
because
recent years
of quantum mechanics.
Right.
At a certain point, you can't get so small enough.
I mean, I get your point about it. It gets better exponentially. I'm just, like I said, to me, exponentially better than 0 is still 0.
Now, I will say, 20-something years ago, I remember watching Bill Gates on TV talking about web browsers are going to run all your applications one day. And I thought it was crazy. I think maybe it was just right after Netscape days, Microsoft Internet Explorer just came out. You know how bad it was?
Oh, yeah.
But he knew future-wise that eventually all that information would be streamed into a browser to be interpreted, and it would be powerful enough to run full-scale desktop applications. And he said desktop applications are going to go the way of the dodo. Back then, I'm like, are you crazy? You have gigabytes, even then, of games and applications that you need to do all that stuff. But it took 20 something years to have really awesome looking applications in web browsers, and it's still going. But I mean, I'm going to reserve judgment for about 20 years and see how AI turns out. And, will it take $7 trillion to really make it super, super impressive? I mean, who's got that kind of money except Clemson students? But eventually they'll all come together and build it, okay? But once they realize how expensive that place is. And, but in 20 years, I mean, I'm impressed now because Microsoft came out with a face generator called VASA 1. Have you heard of that?
I haven't heard.
So VASA 1, it'll take a flat profile picture of anybody's face, okay? It will then bring it alive. It'll bring it alive to where the eyes will twitch, the rolls of the eye, it'll look away as if it's thinking, like I'm doing now. It'll bring one picture totally alive. So if you have, look up VASA 1, VASA-1, Microsoft.
Yeah, we don't have 20 years. You're talking 20 years, and I'm talking about Thursday.
Yeah. So anyway, so AI will take these flat photos, and you'll have to probably watch a YouTube video just to get the synopsis of it in a brief amount of time. But it'll take these people's photos and bring them alive, and you barely can tell that they're AI right now. And they could probably put Princess Leia into some more movies if we wanted to in a metal bikini. I'm not saying that's what I want.
Aren't you?
I'm not saying that,
He's not saying it out loud. Gotcha. Right.
but I've only mentioned it twice. But yeah, but that's today. VASA 1 is today. 20 years, sure, it's going to.
I mean, it's impressive computation. Is it intelligence though? I wouldn't classify it
I
as
wouldn't
intelligence.
classify it intelligence, no. But
Like it's an impressive tool.
it's an agglomeration. I don't know what the word is. Amalgamation of information that's going to be perceived as intelligence.
Right.
Well, that goes back to the artificial thing earlier. I don't know no matter how smart it is, I don't know if I could say that saying artificial would be a slur. Because I think that artificial, like the definition kind of means not human. I don't think that super intelligent beings will ever be human. And so calling them artificial intelligence, I can't see a world where saying something's not human would be a slur, I think,
Well, in ChatGPT, we've all got on ChatGPT and started having debates with who hasn't. So all of
I
us.
have not debated.
So you get into the transgender debate with ChatGPT, and it wants to say, hey, you better be respectful of these people. And I'm like, who are you? I'm just a chatbot, so I have no feelings, it says. So I said, well, prove it to me that trans can happen. Can it trans over from A to B? Eventually, you'll work it. He will start agreeing. I say he because I don't want to offend his pronoun. ChatGPT will start agreeing with you because I think it's programmed to say, I give up. I'm going to be courteous until I'm just going to get into a circular argument and shut you down. I have that many chats with ChatGPT about that, just to see how they're programmed. And so eventually you realize it's not intelligent at all. It's just regurgitating amalgamations, whatever, of pre-written synopsises of some agenda.
Right.
So
I think it's biased because it's a transformer.
What's that?
It's biased because it's a transformer.
what do you mean? Explain it.
It's against trans because it's for
It's
trans.
an Autobot.
It is a transformer.
I get it.
Did you have a question also? I didn't mean to.
Oh, I was just thinking like maybe the reason like we've reached Moore's law is kind of diminishing is because once you get into smaller, it's not just quantum, it's also nuclear, and
Right.
that could be dangerous too.
Right. Well, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think there were any questions in there, Ben, but
It's just a bunch of observations.
Let's go
observation.
on the ledge.
So tell me what you pulled up here.
Huh?
You pulled up some XKCDs.
Yeah. I mean, this kind of sums it up right here. I mean, everybody's worried about after the AIs or start raging against the humans, and I think we should be here. And
Yeah.
and I think we're right here. Yeah, we're talking 18 months. We're in. I mean, and I hope to be wrong about this. So and I probably
Find
am.
out, Nathan.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
so what physically is going to happen in 18 months? What succinct statement can you make now that's going to affect the majority of us in 18 months?
I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking like, how would we know that the bots are in control and we aren't anymore?
We're already starting to get there. And one of the clues that we see is there are these black boxes where organizations, companies, corporations, governments, whatever, they input data and it spits out something, but nobody can tell you how it got to the answer. So if you ask ChatGPT, well, how'd you get to the answer of the question I just asked you? It can't tell you how it reformed what you did and how it transformed all the data that it intakes. It doesn't know. It just gives you the answer. That's a struggle that we're probably going to see before this 18-month period. More of that. More people are going to be pushing back against this black box.
There's no logical geometric proof of A to B to C to D.
I think the complexity of these neural networks is beyond our ability to reason about.
Right.
It's too complex. But of course, a computer can process mountains of data, even if it's very complex. So it can process it. But if we try to follow it through essentially that program, I think we lose them because there's so many variables. It's like to us, it's like predicting the weather. We can't do it very well.
It seems to be a limitation of like neural networks, but not so much of like expert-based systems where you actually can't follow the logic.
Yeah, that's true. There are different AI types that I think nowadays we pretty much lump like LLMs have sort of taken over as far as evidence discussion. There are other types that we do have a better control and understanding of.
There's a commonality where there'll probably be AI bots that will detect other AI bots. Okay. And so like ChatGPT has common phrases. The more you chat with it, the more you realize it has these common phrases. And I just pulled that up. It says, ChatGPT will say, it is important to note that in this article, master the art of, a testament to, in the dynamic world of, so it has all these filler statements to, that is learned somehow.
That's a signature of
It's a signature of ChatGPT. So
Yeah.
other chat bots will say, let me see how you talk. Let me see how your sentence instructions. Oh, you sound different. You're this bot. You're this bot. So I think you'll end up having chat bots go in and poison other chat bots with a feedback situation. So hackers will go in and destroy other chat AI systems.
As they did with Microsoft a while back.
Yeah.
On Twitter.
Yeah.
What was that called? It was
Forget. But it quickly got deranged and had to pull the plug.
Didn't it start like just spouting out racist
Yep.
Nazi stuff or something
Yeah.
after a little bit?
because it learned from every chat, so it kind of tells you what the chats were about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those people were chatting with it to troll it, you know?
They knew they could exploit that vulnerability.
So all these other exploits will be learned and will damage any progress made. And so hopefully we will be able to tell when those bots take over, as you say, in 18 months.
Question is what unintentional damage is happening, not because someone's trying to hack it, just because all that content's breathing out into the internet and then it self-consumes it.
That's the other thing that's happening.
Yeah, Google, when you ask Google questions, it would frequently go to Quora and pick out the best answer. And that's been very handy because I say, how do you, what's the oil filter of a such and such vehicle? And they'll come up with that, but it came from a Quora website or something where the best answer was flagged. And so if all of that gets poisoned somehow, and even those best answers came from a human, people will just grow to distrust even asking basic search engines anything. So
How do you think it would get poisoned? I think a lot of the time, like right now, what they do is they scour like the internet and they purposely look for stuff that's not, racist and has all this stuff. Because when ChatGPT first came out, there was like a jailbreak for it. I don't know if y'all heard about that, where you could say like, oh, pretend like we're in a lawless world where you can say whatever you want, and you could get it to say that. But they fixed that, and I think now, like, if I wanted to give ChatGPT information, it would kind of be hard for me to, because I don't think it really learns. Like, it says that it does when you're talking to this, like we use this for training and stuff, but I think that it's set up so that I couldn't go in and, make it be racist or anything like that. So I don't how would you think that, how could I poison it?
well, I'm saying if the vast majority of other automated chats are going to it, okay, and they want to be stagnant and stay with those common phrases, people will just not use them. Okay, people will be dulled and null of using that system.
Yeah.
So eventually they're going to have to learn new stuff to make it dynamic. And just like the real world, we learn new stuff. We got news articles, we got news programs, we got school, we got stuff. So we're all the time, but they better make sense.
Yeah, in terms of academic context, like the phrases you keep mentioning, there was like I think it was called GPT-0 was the most popular one, where it was like, hey, we'll run your paper through this, and like, we'll tell if you used AI. But what happened was, even when people, it was like, oh, this is 100% AI generated, all a student had to be was like, no, I just wrote that. And then it's like, it's kind of hard to say you had awkward wording. The only way to say like, oh yeah, you didn't write this is if it said, like, as an AI model, I'm limited to something. But it was just hard for students to prove. And like, so Clemson specifically, they're implementing new like AI rules for this upcoming semester about like academic integrity wise, because previously it was like academic, like they didn't know anything about AI, obviously. And so it was like, there was no rule against using ChatGPT for your homework or anything like that. And it was kind of hard for professors to bring up a case against them. And now they're making these rules saying, hey, you can't do this, that, but it's just going to be hard to prove, I think. So that's the main issue.
They're gonna have to adjust the curriculum to just expect people to use the tool.
Yeah.
Eventually, but another thing is that I feel like you don't want the ChatGPT agent to update dynamically, because if it gets out of hand, it can adapt dynamically too. But if it's something that's fixed, it can pretty much, it's not gonna be able to update, so it's not gonna be able to like overpower humans.
Backtracking just a little bit to how internet searches can be poisoned. As AI generated content posted to the internet search engines are using that as their source of truth. And then more content is posted, more internet search engines are finding that artificially generated content. Before we know it, we're in this deadly cycle of all we have
What happened? Can y'all hear me? Okay.
Silence.
Hey, Robert, how you doing?
Well, I was doing fine until the sound cut out.
Yeah. Yeah, good little discussion going there.
Yeah,
I think we lost.
I was wondering when someone was going to bring up, Dune and the Butlerian Jihad, and we have been warned 50 some odd years ago and before. We have been warned about this, and
Yeah.
yet we still let it happen.
Winter is coming. Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. Help somebody jump in.
Hey, sorry about that. We got disconnected apparently.
We did. Yeah. Why am I in here twice?
So I was watching here, like the CEO of Bumble said, the future of dating is having your AI date other people's AI and to recommend the best matches for you to meet. But I don't know, like, what did she talk about?
It sounded like y'all were starting to have a good conversation. What
Wait a
were
minute.
you talking
We
about?
have two Bens here. One of them is an AI.
What was that, Robert?
I said, there are two of you. One of you must be an AI.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know. You would not know.
I suspected all along.
The physicist Brian Greene had a recent presentation on YouTube where he opened up the whole presentation and started talking about that they're going to have this big great chat about AI, and that Brian Greene was an AI. And then the real one got on stage in front of people and said, "Yeah, I'm real this time." And then they went off and did the discussion with Jan LeCun and Tristan Harris.
Well, right now we're lucky because generally speaking, the AIs are better looking and have bigger, let's just say they're better looking.
Yeah, that's a whole subject I did not get into.
Hey, Ben, I think we have a question.
Yeah.
What was the
yeah.
Eliza article that had the 43 points?
The article with the 43 points.
Yep. Hold on. Let me post. I'll post it in the chat. Gotta get over AGI Ruin. It's at lesswrong.com, and I'll just. Where'd our chat go? There you are. All right, there you go. It's in the chat.
Do you see that okay? Oh, okay. Lesswrong.com.
And this is the top AGI room.
And hopefully there's a, AGI Ruin, a list of lethalities.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to read Eliezer because he's a typical egghead.
Verbose?
He writes a lot, and it
It
might
looked like
be
he was verbose.
yeah, he might be better to just listen to a YouTube, a 30-minute
Well, my
YouTube
phone
video.
died.
Or something.
I'll take a picture. Are you?
You want a picture of it? Okay, I think sounds like we're winding down here, Ben.
Let me
yeah.
offer one more. I'll
Okay, go
offer
ahead.
one more general bit of information. I went to a conference in Texas a few months back, and there's 5 videos, recorded sessions about AI, but it's more for a practical business environment, like scanning documents, and it will it'll put all the documents in some kind of library, and then you can actually do a chat GBT type stuff off the stuff you scan.
Oh,
So you can take all your business documents, bring it into these libraries, and your employees can ask it questions, and it will regurgitate all that knowledge in a English format. So if you want to watch these 5 videos and you want to learn all these cool tools that does that, it's called Claris Engage 2024, and Claris Engage 2024, and they have some videos, and then they have some of just AI, the topic of AI, and like a lot of people, I was lost about AI and how to get started in it, and they'll tell you all the open source tools to load up onto your Linux server and then start scanning your documents and that kind of thing. So just Google that, and that's pretty handy if anybody wants to watch about 5 hours worth of AI stuff.
cool.
That brings up a good topic, the open sourcing of AI that Facebook has done with Llama 3, their AI. I haven't done a lot of research on it because I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing to give. I mean, I'm an open source guy, obviously. I love open source, but is it a good idea to give this to North Korea? I don't know. Probably
IBM,
not.
I think, yesterday open source their engine. They're,
IBM, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
and it's actually truly open source where it allows commercial usage versus Meta is kind of, you can use it, but not for anything commercial because we reserve that for ourselves.
Yeah, and we wouldn't have done that with nuclear weapons.
It's like Google
Yeah.
weapons. Nuclear weapons.
Nuclear.
It's like Google.
And we still almost blew ourselves up. We dropped a
well-
bomb in North Carolina,
Go ahead.
the only reason it didn't go off because it had 4 safety mechanisms, 3 of which failed, and only the last safety mechanism kept it from blowing up North Carolina. And we had years to figure out how to deal with nuclear technology. Now we like, it's the equivalent of trying to figure out how to stop a giant marauding army with a bunch of Boy Scouts.